Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is yet another vlog. I haven't done one of these videos in a while. Didn't really feel I had enough topics to discuss, so that's really why. But I got a lot. I got a lot of things to talk about, so I'm just gonna get started. And I'm gonna start with the experience of meeting the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only RoboCop himself, Peter Weller. It was a surreal and genuinely awesome moment, and it's something that I will definitely cherish and hold near and dear to me for the rest of my life. I know it sounds over the top and a little cliched, but as somebody who had literally dreamt about meeting this man and getting to thank him in person for being such a wonderful, unique, and amazing actor, it's something that is way up there for me when it comes to one of the best moments so far in my life. And what's crazy is I almost completely missed this opportunity. I only knew that there was a con happening locally in Portland because of a post that a friend of mine made on Facebook. He was talking about the con and how he got some tickets for it, and I decided to just check it out. Go to the website for the Portland FanExpo, see what the prices were, see what guests were going to be there, because I had a day off on the first day of the con on Friday. And so I felt, okay, if there's something good, like that'd be a fun thing to do. I've been wanting to go to a con. I'd never actually been to a con like that. I volunteered at a horror convention years ago, but I didn't actually attend the con as a guest. I worked there, but I did get to see the booths and buy things and so on and so forth. But this was different, and I checked the guest list, and there it was, Peter Weller, and I was just really surprised for one. And then I looked at the prices. I was like, okay, how much is it going to cost me to get a photo op with Peter and to get a print of the photo? And it wound up being like $90, but that's not really that much compared to, for instance, the prices that I was seeing for Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd and other members of the Back to the Future cast when they came to the expo. Like the prices for a photo op with any of them was just insane. It was like over $100, and if you wanted to get all of them in the same photo, then that was like thousands of dollars. It was insane. It was ridiculous. There was no way I would have paid that, to be honest. To get a photo with Peter, as much as I would have loved to have done that, but it was affordable. It was reasonable, and so I bought the photo op, bought the ticket to get into the con. Cost me like 130 some dollars total. Got a ride to the convention, and the the photo op was something that happened like later in the day. So I had plenty of time to just browse and kind of look around the convention floor and check out the booths and the vendors. And what's funny is the website listed Blu-rays. The website for the Fan Expo said that there's all kinds of stuff that you can find at this expo, Blu-rays, blah 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 blah, and comics and anime, and you know, so much variety. There wasn't a single vendor or a single booth that was selling Blu-rays or movies, which is surprising since you had so many movie people that were there as guests. There was nothing. There wasn't any there the only thing that I really saw that was ever like selling anything that was connected to Peter was like this guy who was selling like fake cereal boxes, and one of the cereal box artwork had RoboCop on it. They were called RoboPops. Um and there were the typical sort of booths that had like photos and plaques and stuff that you could buy and pay way too much for so you can get signed. And that was really about it. I was surprised there wasn't really that much that connected to the guests that were actually there at the convention. But it is what it is. If you were really into anime, Pokemon, comic books, video games, and other little knick-knacky sort of stuff, the booths at the con were definitely going to be something that would be up your alley. But for me, I walked through the whole entire convention hall and went through all of the different buildings. I didn't spend a single cent. I didn't spend anything on any of the booths or any of the vendors over there. Instead, since I still had some time to kill, I got a lift and I went to a local resale shop in Portland called Music Millennium, and I just browsed over there for a little bit, killed some time, picked up some DVDs and Blu-rays, and then went back to the convention and was there just in time for the photo op. And the photo op, in a lot of ways, it was an assembly line kind of production where you would just wait in line. You would go into this room. Peter would be there, standing in front of some backdrop. You would go up. You would shake his hand. You'd exchange some pleasantries, so to speak. You know, you'd say thanks for being here. Uh, Talk to Peter and say that you're a big fan. Then you'd get all set up for the photo. They'd take the photo, and then you'd be on your way. And that's really what happened. It wasn't, I didn't get to like really talk to Peter that much. I did get to meet him though. I did get to shake his hand. I did get to thank him for uh being at the con, and then I told him how much of a fan I was of him and how he was one of my favorite actors, and that this was a dream come true for me. And then he told me to smile, and then they took the photo and went in line with everybody else who was heading out the back and grabbed my print off and of the photo, and then that was really it. Um it was a little, I wouldn't say disappointing, but I was getting a little more hyped up because of what people were telling me. They were saying things that, oh, he's a talker, he likes to talk to people, and you know, bone up on your history. You know, he might ask you some history questions, and if you get one right, he'll give you a prize or something. And he never really asked any history questions, never really talked that much because it just, there wasn't any time for it because there was just so many people in line. I think if I got an autograph as well, then I'd probably be able to ask him some questions and talk to him a little bit more. But that was too much money, and I already had an autograph thanks to a good friend of mine named Corey, and it just turned out to be still a great experience, something that I definitely do not regret one bit. Peter was super chill and cordial. While I was waiting to get my photo with him, he was even being really nice to this mother and her kids, and it's just one of those things where it definitely wasn't that type of experience with a celebrity where you're like, "Oh man, I'm never going to think about that celebrity the same way." Like it wasn't one of those things. And I'm really glad that was the case because I don't know, that really would have been kind of devastating. Like if I went all that way and spent all of his money and this experience that I had been dreaming of having the opportunity to do for many many years ever since I was a kid, and it just turns out that Dr. Weller is just a total prick. But that wasn't the case at all. He was anything but. And honestly, I would love to get another autograph if he comes locally to another con and talk to him for a little bit more. Ask him some questions about Leviathan, some of the other projects in his career that I'm pretty sure he doesn't get talked to as much about. But yeah, that was great. It's definitely something that I would buy for $1. Now, when it comes to other stuff, I'm gonna kind of try to do a bit of a speed run through some of my thoughts on some things. Some movie news. I know I heard something about another Blob remake. It's rumored. I'm like, why? Hopefully, this never gets off the ground. Just like the other two Blob remakes that were announced that never got made, like the one directed by Simon West, the one that Rob Zombie was working on. We don't need another Blob remake. The 1988 film did everything that you could possibly ask for, and then some when it comes to an update of the Blob. You're not going to get better than that, especially in the day and age of CGI and barely any practical effects. And to me, like, what is the point? There's not really a new twist you can do on the Blob that the '88 film did with the germ warfare test that they fucked up. There's really not really an opportunity or a place to do anything that unique or that interesting with the Blob concept. So just leave it alone. Let it remain frozen. Now, speaking of other remakes or other unnecessary entries in a franchise, I did hear about Blumhouse or some other. Was it Blumhouse or was it some? I think it's still Blumhouse because Blumhouse still owns the rights to Halloween. Another Halloween film. The rumor this time is like a direct sequel to Halloween 4 with Daniel Harris and Dwight H. Little still potentially being involved. And I'm like, why? This has been way too long, way too many years, too late, not needed, not necessary. I liked the ending of Halloween 4. And would it be nice to maybe like retcon Halloween 5 and 6 entirely and bring back certain characters that were killed off in the fifth film? Maybe. But that doesn't necessarily justify the the sequel existing because we know what Blumhouse did with a sequel series with the 2018 trilogy and it was a mess. So why would we want them to do that again? But this time around with Halloween 4. No thanks. And then I also did hear about the Die Hard prequel. This is just a dumb idea. It was a bad idea when it was initially thought of years ago as year one, where it was this movie where you'd have Bruce Willis back as John McClane, but it basically would be a cameo and he'd just be reminiscing and having flashbacks to some case that he had when he was younger. And it's the kind of thing that maybe works better in a comic book, but doesn't necessarily work that well on film. And now that Bruce Willis is, in the throes of aphasia and is just suffering and so much that he can't even do any acting, I think they should just let it be. Let the franchise die. Uh, with some dignity. Like I mean, the last Die Hard film was terrible. Good Day to Die Hard was really bad. So we don't need another Die Hard film or a prequel because the last Die Hard film sucked, and there's a high percentage that the prequel would suck too. And also, who cares? Who actually is asking for this? Who was like, yeah, I want to see a Die Hard prequel with a young John McClane and somebody else playing John McClane that isn't Bruce Willis? It's as dumb of an idea as the proposed Rambo prequel, the First Blood prequel that has been thrown out there, dealing with a young Rambo in Vietnam, or a Rocky prequel. Like, just stop. Honestly, I wonder if these studios do focus groups anymore. Do you do focus groups anymore? Do you actually talk to the fan base of these franchises and ask them what they're looking for, or if they even want another installment in the first place? Because it doesn't seem like they do. They just see a IP that's well known and has a fan base, and then just decide, oh, we'll make another one. And the fans will be sure to eat it up because they like the other ones. Sometimes fans get tired. They get tired of it. They want the franchise to just rest in peace. They don't want it anymore. But the studios don't listen. They don't seem to care, which is a shame. Speed of sequels, might as well start talking about Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, the fourth Beverly Hills Cop trailer. And that's how I'm going to kickstart my thoughts on the slate of movie trailers that I recently checked out. That one looks okay. Honestly, it looks a little bit better than I thought it was going to be going in. Eddie definitely does seem like he gives a shit again. There's still a little bit of that spark that Eddie had in the first two Beverly Hills Cop films. It doesn't really seem like he's just trying to be Wesley Snipes again, like in Beverly Hills Cop 3. And it was nice to see the other cast members return: Judge Reinhold, John Ashton, Bronson Pinchot. They're probably not going to be in the film a lot, but it was still nice to see them in the movie. And I didn't mind the Bad Boys cinematography. I felt it was a nice way to kind of update things a little bit in terms of the style and the look of the movie. Kevin Bacon's basically playing the same guy that he played in R.I.P.D., but Kevin Bacon still plays a good bad guy, so I think that's some good casting. Joseph Gordon-Levitt I like, and I think that honestly could be a fun duo. There's potential to have some genuinely good chemistry between him and Eddie Murphy. So I will say this: the comedy in the trailer wasn't really that funny. Like, there was a couple moments where it made me chuckle or smile a little bit, but nothing laugh out loud hilarious. And I'm hoping that the trailer just doesn't really uh, represent the level of comedy that we're gonna get in the movie, because that would be disappointing. But yeah, I'm still looking forward to it. I definitely want to check that out. Uh, a lot more than something like Origin, which that film might have my vote to be potentially the most pretentious film ever made. And what do I mean by that? Well, I saw the trailer for this before the Iron Claw, and when I saw the Iron Claw in theaters, and this trailer was just unbelievably pretentious. The Cannes Film Festival selection thing, all these critics praising it, saying that it's remarkable and it's visionary and all this other stuff. And it deals with a woman who is writing a thesis for her college dissertation or whatever. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding? So the entire movie is from the perspective of this person who's writing a thesis for their college dissertation. And I think it's like the origin. I don't think it's like the origin of racism, but it's definitely like the origin of discrimination and all these other parts of society that are less than desirable. And I'm like, oh my god, this is just pretentious with a capital P. No, thank you. I will not watch that movie. I mean, it's also on the nose to the point where it's kind of absurd. Like there's a scene in the film where Nick Offerman is wearing a hat that says "Make America Great Again." I'm like, are you kidding me? Maybe it's supposed to be a satire, but I don't know. It just doesn't really appear that to be the case. Um, but there's another trailer that played before the Iron Claw that surprised me, if I could speak, called Love Lies Bleeding, and it's a new A24 film. It's a neo noir thriller, and it's a throwback. It's got Ed Harris in it. Um, I think Kirsten Stewart's in it. It's one of those films where it's definitely got a particular vibe, and it's the kind of vibe that I love. I love the vibe of a Walter Hill in his prime neo noir movie, and it's the kind of vibe that I got from films like Cold in July, and I like the trailer. I like the usage of the song that they used for for the trailer. It's called Bra. It's oh God. It's by a band called Bronxky Beat, and the song has the whole bit where it's like run away, run away, run away, run away, run away. So yeah, it looked like it could be a interesting thriller. I'll definitely give that a shot one of these days. Definitely more curious about that than the first Omen because I also saw that trailer before the Beekeeper. It doesn't even look like it's an Omen film. It looks like a film that was made or at least the script was written and it had nothing to do with the Omen whatsoever. It was just another generic period possession or devil movie. And then the studio was like, "Hey, this isn't going to sell. Nobody's going to want to see this because there's been a million of these movies made. Is there a way we can attach a franchise or some kind of IP to this concept in this movie into this movie? Oh yeah, we still have the rights to the Omen. Okay, make it an Omen prequel. But that doesn't make any sense. I thought there was only one Antichrist. Well, I just figure it out. And I'm like, whatever. Watch that not even actually help that film make more in the box office. Because the reaction from people in the theater was pretty clear. There wasn't a single person in the theater watching that trailer that was like, "Yeah, I can't wait for the Omen prequel. Can't wait to see the first Omen." Lisa Frankenstein. Honestly, I am really looking forward to that movie. It's a clever concept. It's a fun idea. It's the directorial debut of Zelda Williams, who is Robin Williams' daughter, and it looks like it has a lot of style, a lot of flair. It honestly looks really creative. Kind of reminds me of Tim Burton in his prime at times, mixed with a little bit of like Heathers. It's another 80s throwback piece, but it actually seems like the people behind it actually know what they're doing in terms of making it actually look and feel like it's from that era. Great cast too, and just looks like a zany, fun horror comedy and a potentially really solid gem. Like it really does. And it also sadly looks like the kind of film that's probably going to tank in the box office and not do that well. But I do think that it has potential to become a genuine cult classic if things are executed as well as I think they could be when it comes to the concept. Abigail, that also looked pretty promising. It helps that it's from the same people who did Ready or Not. Seems kind of similar with the whole group of people locked in a mansion. That's a little derivative, but throwing in a vampire ballerina, that makes things a little bit more unique and adds some new fresh blood into things. So it looks like it could be decent. Looks like it could at least be an entertaining watch. Also saw the trailer for Spaceman, the film that is going to be coming out later from Netflix, that features direction by the director of Chernobyl, and stars Adam Sandler as this weary space traveler, this astronaut who's up in space, and he's, I wouldn't say losing grip on reality, but he's definitely dealing with a lot of stress, and it's really starting to get to him. And he misses his wife, and he winds up encountering this alien, and they form this kind of bond. And the alien's trying to help him in terms of breaking through his depression, and it looks interesting. I think I'm not quite sure what direction they're gonna go with it. I'm hoping they're not going to do this whole, oh, the alien is not real. It was all in his head. It was all a figment of his imagination. And he's just crazy. I hope they don't do that. But I don't, I don't know. It's just one of those movies that I'm definitely curious about seeing, and I definitely will check it out sometime, but it's not something that I'm like super, super pumped and excited for. But it is something that I'm more curious about than a lot of the other upcoming sequels and reboots and remakes and other stuff, solely for the concept, and also because of the fact that you got the director of Chernobyl, who did an amazing job of that show. And then you also have Adam Sandler once again doing a dramatic role, which I'm really glad that he's doing more of, because I think that's really what he should focus on. And speaking of unique ideas, stop motion. I love this trailer. This film is already like way up there for me in terms of most anticipated films of 2024. Just a really imaginative, creative, wild concept. It's a horror film that deals with this woman who's making a stop motion film, and through some series of circumstances, her creations or uh, figments of her imagination or stuff that other people create in stop motion starts to come to life, and it becomes this nightmarish uh blend of reality and stop motion terror, and it's all utilizing legitimate stop motion effects, and it's just very unique in that regard. It's definitely seeming like it's going to be a psychological horror film, but with the stop motion effects and with all of that going on, it just adds a certain element to it that is completely all its own. And I'm highly anticipating it. I think there is a chance it could be one of those really bleak films where it has an ending where everybody dies or the lead is sent to a mental institution or something. But I still want to see it because I just want to see those. I want to see the visuals. I want to see the film based on the stop motion effects alone, because that's not something that you really see that much of, and especially not in this context where it's blending in stop motion with live actors. Like, it's a really imaginative and creative concept that has a hell of a lot of potential. A lot more potential than the Roadhouse remake. But I will say this: the trailer for the Roadhouse remake, I didn't hate. I think Conor McGregor is a shitty actor, and I really do feel that he might be one of the main reasons why this film is not getting a theatrical release. But I like Jake Gyllenhaal. He was great in Southpaw, and I just like him a lot as an actor. And it seems like a fun role for him. He's making it his own. He's not just trying to copy Patrick Swayze. And I like that, yeah, it's Roadhouse, but it does seem like it's making an honest attempt to try to be its own kind of film when it comes to the style, uh, and the way that the plot is unfolding, and the fighting style, and a lot of other things about it. It does maintain a lot of the same sort of beats when it comes to a guy who becomes a bouncer at some bar somewhere, and then there's these other people who want to tear down the bar and so on. So yeah, it does kind of copy those same beats, but there's other things about it from the trailer that seem like it's not necessarily just doing the same film, despite those similarities. And Doug Liman's a good director. So that's the other reason why I have some hope for it, is because Doug Liman's a really good director. I mean, he did Edge of Tomorrow. I think, yeah, which are also, some people call it Live, Die, Repeat, and that was a great film. And he's done some other really good work with Tom Cruise, and just good work in general. So you got a good director. You got Jake Gyllenhaal, who's got a pretty good track record. So yeah, I'll give that a watch sometime. I don't think it'll hold a candle to the original. I don't think it'll come close to being as cool and as effortlessly badass as the original Roadhouse, but it's something though that does seem like at least it could be an entertaining action film. Could be fun. And that's more than I thought I would ever honestly say about the Roadhouse remake. Especially when the original concept for it was going to be a remake starring Ronda Rousey. Like, I will take Jake Gyllenhaal as Dalton any day of the week, with McGregor and his shitty acting over whatever the hell they were going to do with Ronda Rousey. Because she can't act, and she has the personality of a wet fart. But yeah, I mean, there's some interesting, potentially decent looking films that are coming out. There might be some other trailers that you saw that you thought looked interesting, uh, that I haven't seen yet. But yeah, I would say 2024. I'm not gonna say it's looking promising yet, but at least there's a couple films that are popping up that I'm like, okay, all right, that definitely looks like it's something unique and definitely has some potential. Now, when it comes to things coming out in the physical media space, I'm just gonna do a quick look through on Dawn of the Discs on Facebook here. So you got Basket Case 4K set from Arrow Video. I pretty much knew that was gonna happen. They had a hint on their site or on their Facebook or social media, and it was just a basket. And I was like, yeah, it's gonna be Basket Case, right? It's gonna be Basket Case 4K. And yep, it's a Basket Case 4K for the US. And I really like that film, but I'm fine with a Blu-ray from Arrow because it's a film that was shot with a very low budget, and the Blu-ray already looks really good. It looks fantastic. So I'm fine with the Blu-ray unless somebody decides to gift me the 4K, but other than that, like, I'm perfectly okay with the Blu-ray. Honestly, I wish they did a trilogy set. I think that was a missed opportunity. Why not do a trilogy set with all three in 4K? Then I would have definitely bought it. Because only have the other two in a steelbook set from, I believe it's Second Sight. Um, Scream Factory and Shout Factory, they announced some upcoming releases. The Faculty in 4K, which is cool. Uh, we'll see if they get any new features, but that one is at least one that I understand. Rolling Thunder, I can get it too, but it's just another re-release. It's just another film they already released on Blu-ray, but this time they're just releasing it in 4K. And then the other releases that they announced were just kind of puzzling. Some film called Affliction with Nick Nolte. And then a collector's edition of all things, Lost in Space. You know, the movie that pretty much caused Michael DeLuca to get fired from New Line. Yeah, that movie. Uh, for some reason, they think that's collector's edition worthy. Why? Who is asking for a collector's edition Blu-ray of Lost in Space? Have you lost your goddamn mind, Scheme Factory? Lost in Space? What's next? You're going to release a collector's edition of Kazam with Shaquille O'Neal? So yeah, that's disappointing. Whatever those announcements that they were making, like, oh hey, here's our upcoming slate of releases. Like that's pathetic. Scream Factory or Shout Factory. Really? Lost in Space. Umbrella, they're releasing some new Blu-rays of Masters Universe and Tank Girl, but here's the thing: they're just the same transfers as the other releases in the U.S. They for Masters Universe they list hours of features, but it doesn't seem like what they're mentioning as features seems like it's that much. I think they're just including the audio commentary track as if it's an hour and a half. So hours of features is basically just some press kits and like a couple interviews in terms of anything that's not a commentary track. Also, Tank Girl is just the same transfer as the Scream Factory release or the Shout Factory release, and I believe it just copies over the same features, and it doesn't really have much in terms of new features. I think there's like maybe one or two new interviews, but it's not anything super in depth. So if you already have the Shout Factory release, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be not necessarily worth it unless you are just such a diehard Tank Girl fan. And I am. I love that film, but I just don't feel the need to import the Umbrella release because I know it's going to be region locked. Well, I know sometimes it's not, but I'm pretty sure this will be. And I just don't need all the extra stuff, the poster and the postcards and the all this other packaging. I don't need it. I'm fine with the Shout Factory release, especially if it's the same transfer. It's not anything new. For some reason, Universal is releasing that forgettable generic action thriller, The 355, that bombed when it came out and got pretty unanimous negative reviews. They're releasing it in 4K. Why? That's another one of those things. You're like, why? Why are you doing that? Why are you wasting people? Who? Nobody's asking for that. Nobody wants a 355 4K. Come on now. Just like who's asking for a special edition 4K of Postal by Uwe Boll, right? Who's asking for that shit? And if you heard me pop my jaw there, get a bit of a minor sinus infection. I'm just kind of fighting right now, and that I hope pop my ears. But also, why Postal really? Um, Sony is finally releasing a standalone of Taxi Driver in 4K. Now that's something that I think is absolutely worth everything, worth it and then some. Because for whatever reason they decided to only release that in a box set of a bunch of other Sony films in 4K, and called Columbia Classics. It was Volume One, and it went out of print pretty quickly, and it goes for crazy high prices online. And even just Taxi Driver by itself is going to cost you an arm and a leg from that set. So I'm glad that they're releasing a standalone release. It's a steel book, so it probably is going to be limited as well, but it's still not going to cost me as much as it would to try to buy it separately from another studio. Or I mean from another seller. That's what I meant to say. Um Yeah, I know. I heard about the Guyver release from MVD or Unearthed. Sorry, it's Unearthed. Unearthed Films. No Guyver 2, but the first film gets another release again. This time around, I guess it's supposed to be uncut, which that definitely does make me kind of curious about it, but I, I'm fine. I'm fine with the Arrow Video Blu-ray for right now. That's not a must-have for me by any means. Um, yeah, Major League. Now that is a must-have. I already pre-ordered the 4K. Major League, the 1987 baseball comedy classic. It's finally getting a 4K. It's coming out, I believe, sometime in March. Already pre-ordered it. Really looking forward to that. I love that movie. And what was crazy is I literally was looking at my Blu-ray of that film when I was reorganizing my room, and I was like, you know what? I wish I had a 4K Major League. Surprised it doesn't have a 4K. It's a pretty popular film. Paramount title. They've been doing a lot of 4Ks recently. And then the next day, I shit you not, the next day, I check Dawn of the Discs, and then it was like, yeah, it's coming out in 4K. It was like awesome. That's a worthy 4K to me. Not the Child's Play remake or the Carrie remake. Like it's Shout Factory, man. Like ever since Cliff McMillan left and went to Arrow, they are literally falling off a cliff. The Unlawful Entry Blu-ray I did buy, but the case itself was weird, and it was so weird that I wound up swapping it with some other Blu-ray case that I had. It was just cheaply made, but then also hard to open for some reason. It was bizarre. I don't know what they're doing over there. And they clearly did not understand the appeal for Unlawful Entry because they put it up for 1,600 copies. It sold out within a week or less, and then they went in and announced recently that they're going to up it to over 2,000. And I'm like, this should have just been a Shout Select title. Affliction or Afflicted or whatever the hell that is with Nick Nolte, that's not going to sell as many copies as Unlawful Entry. Hell, Lost in Space will probably sell less copies than Unlawful Entry. They should have just put Unlawful Entry as a Shout Select release. It was a no-brainer. It was a film that hadn't been released on Blu-ray in the US, and it had a well-known cast. And it was a critically acclaimed thriller. I don't know what the hell they're doing over there. I don't know why they made it only a limited release. Because clearly it wasn't just a contract from whoever the rights holder was, because they were able to up the amount for the title soon after it sold out. But yeah, that's really all I got. That's it for this vlog, folks. Um I got a second part that I'm probably gonna do within the next couple days. I got a letter to read. I know I said I had the letter in the first part. It's just it's already like 43 minutes. Um so to do the letter justice, I'm going to split it into a separate video, maybe show some recent stuff that I got in the mail, and yeah. In terms of other stuff I got coming up next, I got a lengthy review of season 1 of Tiny Toon Adventures, which is going to be coming out within the next day or two. Also have a bunch more requests. I'm going to focus after Tiny Toons. I'm going to focus on the Patreon requests first, and I'm going to get back to the other slate of requests that I got. Um, and yeah, and maybe you might see a review of something like ISS. I don't know. Uh, I need to utilize this Regal Unlimited subscription, but I'm just kind of indifferent on that movie, so I don't even know if it's really worth going to the theater to see. But yeah, that's it for this vlog, and until next time, I'll see you later. See ya.